Hi, I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life. I talked to acclaimed director and executive producer Roland Emmerich.
When I saw the first race, I was like giddy.
Actor Ewan Ryan.
For an actor, that's a dream, although you do get a lot of sand in your sandals.
And so many more.
You helped summon those ghosts back onto that stage.
Every day when I went to set, I was giggling about what I saw.
I think it's going to be a breathtaking thing.
People will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello and welcome.
Oh, no!
This is a dark day.
No, don't bring the people down.
All right, this is a rough episode, but we are going to do our best to buoy ourselves and you up towards the surface. Hello!
There it is.
And welcome to Buffering the Vampire Slayer, a podcast where we are watching and discussing every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, even the ones that make us want to leap off a bridge. I am Jenny Owen Youngs.
And I am Kristen Russo, and this week, despite not wanting to talk about it, we will be discussing Season 2, Episode 17, Passion. Stay tuned at the end of this podcast every week for an original song written by us recapping the Buffy episode we are discussing.
Passion was written by Ty King, you terrible person, and directed by Michael Gershman, who wants you to feel a lot of pain. It originally aired on February 24th, 1998.
This is the one where Angel steps up his torment of Buffy and her friends as Jenny searches for a way to restore his soul. Is that how you would describe this one, Jenny?
This is the one where Jenny Calendar bites it. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we all know this episode to be. A painful, painful episode. And you know, to start us off with a larger thought, I think that the pain in this episode for me is less about losing Jenny and more about Giles losing Jenny. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's less about like me, Kristen, being like, I can't believe I've lost this character, this person, and more about me like mourning through Giles and like traveling through Giles.
Yeah, I mean, as much as it is a terrible, terrible, wounding, traumatizing experience to watch Willow be in pain. Who knew? Who could have predicted that seeing Giles in terrible pain would be as effective?
Right. And we'll get to all of this, but why don't we start with a nice soulless vampire narrating us
just a little Angel VO
into the episode. Passion, it lies in all of us. It will stir, open its jaws, and howl, says Angel.
Yeah, he really does say that. He also says, passion rules us all and we obey. What other choice do we have?
Yeah.
By the time he says that, so we see him sort of like following Buffy from a distance, like hanging out at the Bronze, drinking from the body of a living person as Buffy, Xander, and Willow, and Cordelia?
Yeah.
Leave the bronze.
Yeah. They're all four there because I made a note specifically that like this scene was so powerfully placed in the way of like showing us that she's healing and showing us that she's getting back to herself.
Yeah.
And that of course she's not. Right.
That's what you thought.
So I interrupted you mid.
Oh, that's okay. So then Buffy goes home and gets ready for bed. Turns out the lights, and we see Angel in his optimal preferred.
He knows where to stand.
Directly behind the blinds.
He's like, did somebody say blinds?
He's just peeking through those mini blinds.
So, and this is creepy as fuck.
It's creepy that he's watching and watching and watching, but then once he gets inside and is like touching her
face, which this is like important too, because we know Buffy is the Slayer. So we know that she has heightened senses. We know that she's a badass. We know that she's really not going to be the person to sleep through somebody in her bed with her, right? But I think that this is so deliberate. This whole episode, I think, is brilliant. I think, who did you say wrote this episode?
Ty King.
Ty King, whoever you are, I just, like, in the first 10 minutes, I was like, who wrote this? The lines, the dialogue is brilliant.
Yeah.
And the whole arc of it, it's like, Buffy doesn't feel Angel in bed with her, which I think is a direct line to how powerful Angel is, right? How powerful he is in his strength, but also in his, like, what would you even call it?
I'm not sure.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
mythologically speaking, like if you look at vampire lore, there's a lot of like floating and levitating and walking soundlessly and gliding through the night. And I think that, you know, some of that is being played on here.
Yeah, it's just, and then of course he draws her like one of his French girls. This is an interesting character trait. We'll see some real fun Angel character traits as the series goes on. And I think charcoal drawing is up there.
In the dark. Well, I guess he probably has night vision.
He has like vampire vision. So, but yeah, he's touching her face. He's sketching her, leaving her this note on her pillow.
Right, but like as he gets to this last line, you know, passion rules us all and we obey. What other choice do we have? He has like touched her hair and now he's just sitting on her bed staring at her.
Right.
So like, how twisted are we in this space? It's like, how else can you interpret that other than like he is sort of like beholden to a passion that like we can't understand, and it's it's sort of human. It's like we can vaguely understand it as a human concept, but like it's passing through so many filters that are so far away from our experience.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the whole reason. I mean, I make fun of this sort of overarching narrator.
It is goofy,
role,
but it's also very effective.
But it is because what he's illustrating, what the words are illustrating to us, I think are directly meant to underline what you're talking about, Jenny, which is that like Angel is orbiting through passion, the same as Buffy and Giles and Jenny and all of us orbit through passion, that he is not exempt from this at all. And this is why Spike is so annoyed with him in this episode, because he's like, man, you're telling me you were in fucking bed with this girl? You were caressing her? You drew her in charcoal? This is not what we're about. You're supposed to kill the Slayer is the task. And Angel is... He's fallen off. He's going down another Drusilla path, right? I mean, that's we hear that a lot of times in this episode too.
Right.
That he just can't let it go, and he has to not just kill her, he has to destroy her. The worst kind of kill, right? The kind that taunts her, tempts her,
take her apart, piece at a time.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm a little annoyed with how she's advised in the face of this right at the start of the episode.
Yo.
Right? It's like...
It doesn't make any sense.
No, I come to school, I tell you, hey, the biggest bad we've faced up until now, I think that Angel is a bigger bad than the Master.
In many ways,
right?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe talk amongst yourselves.
I mean, he's not as ancient and powerful, but he's also not trapped in a wibble-wobble bubble, and he also has free access to Buffy's bedroom.
Right. And so you show up, you tell your watcher, hey, man, this guy that we're all terrified, he was in my room. He was in my room, in my bed with me.
While I was sleeping for long enough to draw me.
And then Buffy, you know, very reasonably goes down this path of like, hey, Angel told me that the way he does this is he goes after family first. My mom is in danger. And the advice she's getting from...
is like, don't let him get in your head.
Like, what? What about don't let him get in your bed, Giles? Like, come on, man. So I was just a little frustrated, but I understand the reasoning. Like, I understand, yes, they're right. I mean, Angel isn't killing her, and Cordelia has
Oh
this
my
great
God. She's on
moment.
Spike's page. Why doesn't he just gruesomely murder you?
Right. And so Giles, Cordelia, Willow, they're all having this conversation with Buffy and pointing out, yes, that Angel, it's obvious that Angel doesn't want to just kill her because he hasn't. So that's where Giles is coming from, I think. But I just feel like, come on, guys. I mean, you know, probably by the end of this episode, everything has changed for how Giles would advise because perhaps none of them really understood what was possible in such a short amount of time for Angel. Maybe they thought that he was spinning a longer yarn here. I don't know. But I just was like...
It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
It didn't make a ton of sense.
What does make sense is Willow being the top pick to sub for Jenny Calendar when she says she's going to be late tomorrow morning.
Oh my gosh. Wait, we are not there yet.
What? Oh, what did I miss?
First of all, you missed one of my favorite scenes to date, which is in the library when Jonathan walks in. So this scene, right? We're in the library. We've talked about this on the show before. Where is everybody in the library? Nobody uses the Sunnydale library.
It's just tumbleweeds and Scoobies.
And we get this beautiful scene of the show poking fun at itself, really getting very meta and saying like, hey, we know, okay, we know. And so in walks Jonathan, who we call Jonathan. He still doesn't have a name. I saw in the credits, it just said student. Jonathan still, at least in the credits of this episode, was not given a name. He walks in with his buddy. They just need a book on Stalin. Everybody flips out. Xander the most. Xander's like, God. What in the world are you? Is this a Barnes and Noble? And Giles has to talk Xander down and be like, it's the school library, Xander. I know we forget.
And Xander's like, since when? Rightly so.
Right, rightly so, Xander.
If possession is 9/10 of the law, students coming to check books out must be 9/10 of a space being the library, right?
Yes, agree.
Is that some hell math?
Ooh, Jenny, I think it is.
Hell math.
Thank you for that hell math, Jenny. The only other thing that I find hilarious in this scene is the fact that they go up to get the book. First of all, Giles knows where the Stalin books are, so that's nice to know.
Just off the top of his head.
Yeah, he's
ready to go. He
knows where
a
all
real
the,
librarian,
as Angel would call it, he knows where all the boogity books are.
Oh.
And he also knows where the classroom books are.
Boogity.
So I wasn't going to get through the episode without calling out the boogity.
I'm glad you said it.
So then they go to find the Stalin books and everyone leaves, including the librarian. and it made me think to myself, nobody else works at the library. Like, no one. They were like,
Giles.
It's just Giles runs the show. So that means every time we see Giles not in the library, no one is in the library.
Yeah.
So I don't know how
libraries basically just run themselves and nobody goes by anyway.
I don't know. This was far before self-checkout, you know? So the thing that we didn't talk about when we were going on and on about Giles and being upset about Giles' response and Buffy being worried about Joyce is that there's a really important thing that happens here where Buffy says, Giles, I want to maybe I should tell my mom. And Giles is like, yo, no, you can't do that, right? Xander makes this hilarious joke. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was really good.
Where he's like, yeah, I mean, the more people you tell, the less cool it is for us to know, right? But this is an ongoing plotline. We've talked about it on the podcast before. Buffy is really feeling the pressure. She can't communicate anything to her mom, any part of what has happened. And she's still being told by Giles, no, you got to keep her in the dark. You have to.
So then we go to the computer lab. And it is amazing to me, like, okay, there's not a millisecond of dead space in this episode.
No.
And there's so many, like, valleys of sorrow. And so many, like, peaks of super hilarity. Like, Allison Hannigan in so many spots is so funny.
Yeah.
And this is one of them.
Oh, and let's just take a moment. We don't have Kate this week, so I will bring up some of my favorite fashion moments as we go. Holy shit, Willow in this scene. She's wearing a blue and yellow butterfly sweater. Her hair is braided, and she has a smiley face emoji backpack, okay? They weren't emojis at the time. It was just
proto-emojis.
Proto-emoji backpack on Willow. She looks adorable.
Oh, she looks so cute.
And she's so excited because Jenny Calendar has asked her to fill in as a substitute.
She's excited, and then she's immediately terrified.
Right.
That her authority won't be recognized.
Right.
And that chaos will reign.
Yes, and right. That's my favorite part is when Buffy gets there and she's like, I'm sorry, Buffy, I know I'm not supposed to talk to her, but she's a teacher. And she goes on and on and on and on as they walk out the...
About why it's important to respect teachers.
Right. Otherwise, Buffy, chaos reigns. Oh, I love Willow. I love this moment.
Right. And then we get this great thing between Giles and Jenny where he's like, hello.
This is incredible because once again, and we talked about this a little bit last week in Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered with the arc of like Xander and Cordelia and how we, in our memory, there was so many more episodes of them having a relationship. But really, it's just these powerful short scenes that make you feel everything that I feel like it takes regular television shows many episodes to get you to.
It's amazing. So much accomplished in so little time.
Right. We have, Jenny and Giles really haven't spoken. There's this moment Jenny slips, but not really slips, and says that she's in love with Giles, that she wants things to be better. This moves Giles, and Giles says, you don't have to make it up to me, right? It's Buffy. You've got to make it like I stand here with my faith tied to Buffy first. And so you have to make it up to her. But essentially he's like, but I love you too. Right? I mean, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't say that, but we get it. The music cues, the whole thing. Like, we're there. I have a little crying smiley face. No, it's not a smiley face if it's crying, is it? I have a crying sad face drawn in my notebook.
Yeah. Also, I love how he's like, Angel has regained his sense of whimsy ever since he lost his soul. I need a spell for disinvitation. And she's like, oh, let me just pick up the first book on my desk. The desk from which I teach computer class.
Right.
Here's my spell book.
Here's my
spell book that just happens to have the spell you need.
Yeah, here's my dusty, ripped, leather-bound book that doesn't seem at all out of place on my computer science desk.
Listen, she doesn't have to choose. She's a techno-pagan.
That's true.
Okay, she has a foot on either side of the threshold.
Oh my God. I just called you Buffy.
What?
I don't know what happened.
Wait.
My brain.
Am I flattered?
hiccuped.
I think I'm flattered.
Jenny.
Go on.
You are correct.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Also, I just realized I missed a note. It's from before the credits. Do you mind?
Please.
I just wanted to make sure we all noticed that Buffy has a new duvet cover, a new
sheet set.
New sheet set. Yeah, she has a whole
She
new.
went to JCPenney.
Yeah, she got new stuff. And actually, that ties into the next scene that we were headed towards anyway, which is that Buffy and Joyce are having dinner together.
Which is nice.
Joyce is home from the art gallery at an early hour.
For once.
Perhaps we're turning over a new leaf.
Working mothers can have it all.
Joyce maybe purchased new linens for her daughter. Is home. Dinner. They're having dinner together. It's all very nice.
And Buffy is like, I mean, because she has to, but Buffy is opening up to Joyce a little bit, which I think Joyce is feeling.
Yes.
Yes. And saying as much as she can about the situation and like, don't invite him in.
Right.
We were seeing each other, but we're not. And he's like being a creep and following me around.
Yeah. And Joyce asking all the right mom questions. Like, has he done anything to you? Buffy, of course, lying completely. No, of course it's not like that. As soon as she said that, I was just like imagining like a quick montage of all the times that Angel has like attacked her and thrown her and whatever. And then Joyce has this line to Buffy that this moment kind of happens between them a few times. She says, don't tell me. He's changed. He's different.
Right.
And she says it in this like mom knows, and like it kind of like invalidates the experience of the kid, right? Like, oh, okay, like I've lived through this 40 times already because I'm your mother and I'm older than you, so I know. And it's just extra heartbreaking here because Buffy can't explain.
Yeah, because of how how right she is.
Right. And that's what this show does though, right? Because even if Buffy had been dating a regular dude who was not a vampire and that dude was really nice to her and then was a jerk to her and her life wasn't at risk, even if that was what was happening at this dinner table, when your mom says to you like, don't tell me he's changed, it just makes you feel so small and like you can't communicate how you're feeling or you're not being taken seriously. And so this show like compounds that by it being, triply is that the hell math
sure,
here?
yes,
3 times.
Yes.
3 times. It's 3 times as bad when your boyfriend is a vampire.
Yeah, that's definitely the formula.
But I thought that this was a really interesting moment, and we see it again. We see it later when they have the talk, which we'll get to. But
right. But meanwhile, Buffy's on the phone with Willow. They're both in their pajamas. Willow's are fuzzy. Buffy's are silk.
Favorite line alert. Willow says, "Men can be such jerks sometimes, dead or alive." Thank you, Willow, for giving us our moment of what, Jenny?
The patriarchy.
Indeed.
Wow. So they're chatting about like Angel and like the horror and everything. And oh God. Willow's trying to like keep morale up. She's like, oh, you just gotta like think positive.
Yeah.
And then she finds an envelope at the foot of her bed. And there's this great shot where the camera swings around through her fish tank, which is noticeably empty.
Yes.
And she pulls the fish, which have been skewered on a line. of all the sick,
twisted. You gotta give Angel a little bit of credit.
He's very creative.
It's pretty. Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna put my charcoal down for a moment and skewer these.
Oh my
fish,
god!
You know?
Oh my god!
He also must have meticulously dried them off before putting them in the envelope because the envelope is nice and dry. It's
and also I feel like he knows enough about Willow to know that would like hurt her because I feel like fish are like a less personal pet. Like it wouldn't hurt everyone.
Yeah,
but Willow is a sensitive soul, and he knows.
And this cut,
oh my god,
it's got to be the best cut in the episode of just like from Willow being terrified to Willow sitting next to Buffy in bed.
Thanks for having me over, Buffy.
Yes, it's so good. And I know that last week I was like, Willow deserves a jingle, but I have to go to A camp and we can't get it done. I can't make it through this episode. I forcefully said to Jenny, I'm sorry, we need to do it. We need to give Willow a jingle. She has earned it. She's earned it thrice over.
I'm a prisoner in my own home, and here are the results. Who knows the square root of 1225? Willow, who's gentle of heart and nimble with a hard drive. Willow, 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 Willow.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Wow. What a thing.
Okay, so question.
Yes.
Why does she go to okay, I have a question and then some answers.
House?
Why does she go to Buffy's house? Why don't they go to Xander's house where Angel has never been invited inside?
Right.
Though, of course, the answer is there's no way to get Joyce out of the house. Buffy needs to be where Joyce is.
They can't leave
she
Joyce
can't just
alone.
leave Joyce.
Exactly. I mean, I think that you just worked through that live on air.
Ta-da.
This conversation between Buffy and Willow in bed after we get through this hilarious opening moment is really important too. Buffy has this line where she says, "It's so weird, my first instinct is still to always run to Angel." And it like brought to mind for me that this is a breakup, but it's also like a death for essentially, Angel has died and Angelus is in Angel's place. And this moment of where you forget and then you have to remember again is just so vivid and captured. And this is why the writing in this episode is just brilliant.
Yeah.
And then Willow has a line in this exchange as well where she says, "You're still the only thing he thinks about." And this is what we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, right? That Angel is obsessed. He's obsessed. I mean,
in whatever way that manifests.
Right. Buffy's explanation to Joyce is pretty spot on. It's missing some details, but he is off his hinges.
Yeah.
Speaking of
I was gonna make the same transition.
Speaking of being off of your hinges, then we go to Drusilla.
Drusilla has procured a succulent puppy for Spike. It's named Sunshine. But he doesn't want to eat it. He doesn't want to be fed like a child.
Drusilla. I just
like kind of making an airplane noise. Sort of.
I was like, we can't not talk about the fact that not only is she trying to feed Spike a puppy, but that she's like, like you do for a baby.
Yeah.
Which is very important to note because then Angel walks in.
Ugh.
And
what
this is
a dick.
I just have in all caps in my notes. Oh, in comes ableist Angel, right?
Right?
I mean, he's just like going so hard on the ableist jokes. That is like one of the biggest places where they are like, I know how to make Angel horrible. We'll make him as horrible as you could ever be to Spike in a wheelchair, right?
Yeah.
And he is making joke after joke. I should take you with me. I'd get a better parking space. And then he takes it, and this is when Spike loses it. He takes it to a place where he's essentially saying to Spike, "Would you like me to have sex with Drusilla for you?" "Oh, maybe I already am."
Yeah.
You don't even know. Like this is really something. And then Drusilla is so into it.
I love when boys fight over me.
But her moment of sheer joy is interrupted before it really even gets off the ground.
It makes a girl.
It's so good.
Just interrupted by her own vision.
Interrupted by her vision. But she has this line that she says is beautiful. "The air, it worries." I just love that. So she's getting this message from the ether, if you will.
I will.
That someone is trying to mess up her, as she calls it, a happy home. She has an interesting idea of what a happy home is, but that somebody is messing. And you know who's messing with it?
Jenny Calendar.
Jenny Calendar and her Italian friend. Because
Is he Italian? He's definitely from New York.
And
he's hawking Thessalon orbs in Sunnydale.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. We talk about stereotypes on the show from time to time. As somebody who is half Italian and who has a lot of attachment to being Italian, I want to say that this show really does kind of skirt into the land of, it's a guy and he's doing something under the table. He must be Italian, right? It's like
right, because we have Willie's bar.
Right, Willie's
that guy was your neighbor on Long Island before he moved to Sunnydale. And then this is your Uncle Vinny.
This is for sure my Uncle
running
Vinny.
the magic shop.
100%. Because all I was thinking about when this guy is talking, the shop guy, was like, oh my God, I wonder what his Italian kids think of him, right? What a funny thing to have an Italian dad who's like a mobster, but like what his knowledge area is like magic, you know? It's just like very interesting. So I know that maybe I should be offended. My Italian sensibilities should be miffed, but instead I love it. I'm sorry. I just love it. I love the Italians that do the underground. I like Sunnydale's version of the mob, you know? Wow. Anyway.
So Jenny buys the Thessalon orb from this man, and on her way out of the shop, he's like, what are you going to use it for? And she's like, I'm going to get my friend a gift. And he's like, what kind of gift? And she's like, his soul. It's like, would you have that conversation with the Thessalon orb shopkeep?
I don't know. I mean,
it's a little sensitive.
The guy is like,
but he does invite a certain confidant.
Exactly. I feel like I would have talked to him. He just seemed like a guy you want to tell your secrets to before you leave.
Totally.
So I bought into that. I also just want to say before we leave with Jenny and the Orb of Thesala that I did enjoy this shop guy's rhetoric of like, I'm sorry that I assumed that you weren't here for something serious, but at the end of the day, it's the Ouija boards that pay my rent. So like, he's like running.
He's a realist.
He's like, I have to cater to the commercialization of my, passion here. It's what put my daughter into college. And on and on. So Jenny leaves with the Orb of Thesala. The Orb of Thesala is very interesting. It glows
whenever
it feels like it. And
when it senses a dramatic moment occurring.
It's like, oh, gotta go. It's like, it seems like we might be about to go to commercial. I should glow.
So after it glows, we go to school.
Fashion police here. Fashion police makes me sound like I'm going to be upset with Xander for his outfit. I am not. I am thrilled.
Oh my God, this is my favorite outfit that Xander has ever worn. I want the sweater. I want those pants. I want the whole thing.
Plaid pants, a sweater with bright orange and green sleeves. It's beautiful. I want to wear it myself. Xander, top outfit to date. We'll see if you outfit yourself in future episodes. Yeah. But for now, that's the one. That is the one.
Can we give the sexual attention award to me and Xander's outfit?
No, you cannot put
I can't get in there?
I don't know. It's breaking the fourth wall, Jenny.
Okay, sorry.
I don't know. We'll think about it as we discuss.
Support for today's episode comes from OneSkin. And if you have sensitive skin, you're going to want to hear about their scientifically proven topical supplements. Free from over 1,500 chemicals and preservatives that can make skin red, irritated, or itchy, their products are safe for sensitive skin. It's just one of the reasons they've earned the skin-safe seal of approval.
They've also earned the Jenny Owen Youngs and Kristen Russo seal of approval, if I do say so myself, Jenny.
I couldn't agree more. I've been using OneSkin for a few months, and after a few weeks, I remember it like it was yesterday. I texted Kristen, and I was like, maybe she's born with it. I looked in the mirror that morning and was like, oh, things are happening, and I am happy.
I have used a million billion skin products, and I did not think that I was going to switch off of the skin lotion, the moisturizer that I used and the under eye cream that I used, because I have used them for a little while and I really like them. And I've switched completely, which is a pretty big deal. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using code BUFFERING at oneskin.co. That's 15% off at oneskin.co with code BUFFERING. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and if you can, please tell them that we sent you.
As a podcast network, our focus is bringing you shows you love to listen to. But we also sell merch related to those shows. And partnering with Shopify has made that both possible and simple for us to do. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling scented soap, or offering outdoor adventures, Shopify helps you sell everywhere because they've got you covered from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. What's so fantastic about Shopify is how, no matter how big you want to grow, they provide everything you need to get control of your business so you can take it to the next level. Businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Yes.
Okay, so Willow first sees Jenny Calendar booking it across campus, and she's like, oh man, I don't get to be the sub. And then Buffy runs over to her and is like, hey. And Jenny's like, huh?
I love that moment.
Yeah, it's so
great.
good. So good.
And then, they have this exchange that's very, very
Oh my gosh. And when she's like, he misses you.
Yes.
Shout out to Robia Lamort. Amazing, teeny, tiny, the smallest smile that has ever played across anyone's face when Buffy says he misses you.
Yeah.
And then she gets back straight faced.
Right. And this sentiment of because Buffy comes on strong, right? She's like, you feel bad, good. Keep feeling bad, right? She's definitely not giving Jenny an inch in terms of.
I'm still super fucking. We are not okay, but I want Giles to be happy.
But I love my dad and I want him to be happy. Oh, God. Whew, luckily, we come out of this emotional moment by seeing yet another beautiful outfit worn by Cordelia. She's got this great magenta jacket with this yellow stripe on the collar.
Oh my God.
I love it. I'm sorry.
I'm so glad you love it.
They had a lot of fashion moments, and I know we're missing Kate. Kate, we miss you.
Yes.
We miss you so bad.
The pain is real.
Kate will be with us on the next episode that happens, though, live from A Camp.
Hooray.
We'll talk about that more at the end. Anyhow, Cordelia's jacket is great.
So this is the scene where they are de-angelifying Willow's room.
Right.
They're nailing up crosses. They've burned some herbs and sprinkled holy water and chanted some rhyming couplets.
Yes, as you do.
Cordelia. Are you aware there are no fish in your tank, Cordelia?
Oh, and Willow's little squeak.
Oh, God, she's so sad. And then they're like, Cordelia, you can leave. And she's like, cool, I'll just turn to go. Oh, this must be for you. This letter in your room must be for you.
Right. And what's weird is that it's not for Willow, it's for Buffy.
Yeah, why would... It's
just
questions.
an interesting situation here.
Convenience.
But that's fine. It's a good episode.
So
it's
a drawing of Joyce. And here's where I want to bring up something.
Yes.
My friend Molly Green is a woman from Louisiana who was raised in a classic Southern tradition to be a lady, right? And one of her lady traits is that she has signature stationery that she uses for thank you notes and how do you do notes and whatever. She uses the same stationery all the time. She picked a pattern from Crane, and that's what she always uses.
Wow.
What I want to draw attention to here is that Angel seems to have a similar thing going. He went somewhere and got some stationery, this sort of linen-y, natural colored paper that he loves to trifold and then put in a business-sized envelope.
Yes, it's very specific.
I just want to draw attention to this.
I mean, Angel, he's doing a good job at being a weird
creep.
Old vampire dude. That's evil. That's all.
How long do you think he's had that specific stationary thing going on? Do you think it predates?
Yeah, I think
Drusilla.
Drusilla got those same notes. I think that's what we are to believe here. That he has had that paper. He keeps it, somewhere safe where the air cannot yellow it.
Right. Further.
Yeah. Or maybe, it's just part of the underground commerce that they know.
Oh, right.
You've got
vamp stationary.
If you don't keep Angel's stationary in stock, you're going to die.
Right. That makes sense.
Keep it coming.
So we cut from the reveal of this drawing to Joyce.
And we cut from the reveal of this picture of Joyce with one word from Buffy. She just looks at it and says, Mom. And I think that that is very important and very powerful. It's just drawing our attention to the fact that this is her mother. This is her family. This is her whole family, right? I mean, she has a dad somewhere, but he's not in the picture. This is her everything when it comes to family.
So Joyce's headlights come around the corner and pull into the driveway and illuminate none other than Angelus.
The crazy boyfriend. And oh, how he is. He plays. I mean, shout out to David Boreanaz in the scene. He nails this character.
Yeah, this unhinged ex-boyfriend thing. Brrr.
Yeah, and Joyce, huge shout out to Joyce, okay, for this moment. The first line out of her mouth, she told me she wants you to leave her alone.
Yeah,
she doesn't fucking hesitate. She's like, that's my kid, so fuck off and step off, Angel.
Yeah.
Not afraid of you, except she is.
And he's got just like this rolling barrage of creepy lines. I need to be with her.
Yes.
You can convince her for me.
She drops her bag of fruit, and Angel is like picking it up. And this is, I think,
please note that the first thing he picks up just flies out of his hand off screen.
Right. And this is, I'm sure this was not a meant to happen moment, which I think is really powerful. Like, I don't think that Angel was, I think the direction was, hey, David, you're going to put the oranges in the bag and be a creep about it. I think he dropped the orange. And Kristine Sutherland looks at it, realizes she's in danger. She can't go after the orange. The orange is inconsequential, and she stays there. And I think that was just, I mean, we may never know, but I think that was just a moment that happened when this scene was, being taken for whatever time, and they kept this cut.
Right.
And it's brilliant. Then Joyce, too many art gallery keys, man. Too many
art gallery keys. Also, Angel drops the bomb that he and Buffy made love.
Right. Joyce is fumbling with all of her 1 million keys. And Angel delivers one of the most horrible lines of all time. Ever since the night that we made love, he says. And I'm sorry, if I were Buffy, I'd be like, he's unhinged. I was a lie. I feel like you could get away with it, Like,
yeah.
I feel like Mom would maybe believe that this person who is obviously completely unhinged is just making up lies to, like, get to her. But she doesn't. And so it winds up that Joyce and Buffy have what Joyce refers to as the talk. Although I always thought the talk was where you learned what sex was. Not
that somebody had already had sex.
Right, and you're like, well, shit.
Maybe there's more than one talk.
Maybe there is, maybe. But this scene between Joyce and Buffy with the sex conversation is powerful in the same way that I think the dinner conversation was powerful.
Yeah.
Where Joyce can't know, and so Joyce is saying things to Buffy that, like, could you have a sharper dagger than, I really thought you'd make a better decision. Oh my God.
Joyce, you don't know.
Joyce, she doesn't, and she's just trying to be a good parent, and she's really, I think Joyce is doing a good job of, like, setting boundaries and, saying, I care, no matter how much you shut me out, because Joyce is suffering this fate of being shut out by her teenage daughter, a common fate of parents of teenagers, but also, so much more so because of Buffy's secret and the fact that Buffy can't tell her anything. So I think that Joyce does a decent job in this, but it's just a very difficult thing overall. And Buffy, if I were you, I would have said, like, he's crazy. I don't know what it means. I've never had sex in my whole life.
Yeah, what is sex? We didn't even have the talk yet.
Right.
I don't know how to do it. Okay, so Giles swings by the computer lab.
He does, and this is another Jenny. I really like this moment for Jenny Calendar, where, like, there's a lot going on. She's trying to restore Angel's soul. She's
trying to get back
Giles,
in Buffy's good graces.
And the first thing she says is, "She said you missed me." It's just really good
with just like the right delivery.
Yeah, she really does a good job in this moment,
and I love the way Giles responds. Well, she's a meddlesome girl.
She's a meddlesome girl, and they just have this really sweet moment, and they're on the path to, coming back together again. And Jenny's like, I have some things to take care of here. I don't want to get you excited yet, but I think I might have good news. Mm-hmm. And Giles says, come by my house later. Huge deal. This is a huge deal.
Yeah.
It's, like, impossible to talk about this, like, as though I don't know what happens. I'm like, this is a great thing. And inside my heart is shattered into 8 million pieces. Because, of course, enter all ye who seek knowledge has foiled us. Angel is in the school. Angel's been in the school 1,000 times, so we knew Angel could get in the school.
Yeah, I have to imagine, like, a public school building.
And this is probably a building that cannot be protected then, because every time you would cast the spell, the sign would still be there. Like, if the sign is there, it probably just undoes the protection. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So Angel is the beautiful shot of this reveal of Angel being in the room, where Jenny has translated the text that she needs to make the Orb of Thessal work.
Yeah, she begins to print out all of the text on the world world's first printer.
Those printers, shout out to those printers that had to be, where the paper had to be pulled up by its holes to make it
Those were the days.
I love that. And then you'd have that satisfying fold where you'd fold the edges.
Oh my God, yeah. Do you remember the ones that had like
off?
light green stripes alternating with white stripes?
Yes, of course. Just I would love a printer like that. Nobody send me that printer to our PO box.
Please don't.
I don't actually want it. So the camera kind of focuses in on this printer, and it's out of focus as it pans up, and the focus becomes on Angel.
Right. And this is just like so this show, right? Like, here's some hope. Oh my gosh, things might be okay. No.
You say that. You say that.
No.
I mean, yes, in like arc of emotion, this is so this show. But in what happens, this is not this show.
No.
This is way off the rails for this show. Where this goes, it's taking us for the first time to a place where we know no one is safe, right?
Yeah.
Jenny Calendar is one of the Scooby Gang. She's a core character.
She's in love with Giles.
She's in love with Giles. She is important to the overall plot line. We have gotten attached to her. And more importantly, as I said in the beginning, Giles has gotten attached to her and we are attached to Giles.
Yeah.
And this scene, now, to bring a little bit of beautiful glory into this horrible scene, I just really want to say that if I were the actor playing Jenny Calendar and I found out that I was being killed off, I would be very upset. However, if I learned that the last scene that I would get to film was going to be the classic, beautifully shot girl running away from evil thing through the hallways.
Yeah, forever and ever.
I mean, I'm not an actor anymore. But if I could pick any kind of scene I would want to play, it would be this scene and it's shot beautifully. She's running through the hallways, through the shadows. There's doors that are locked. There's doors that are open. It's just, there's like a panic to the whole thing. It's just beautifully done. And you think, I mean, thinking back to watching this episode for the first time, you're like, of course she's going to get away. I mean, I cannot imagine being a viewer of the show.
Oh my God.
On first watch and having no idea what's about to happen because you really are just you don't think it's going to happen because it's never happened before. And they take this scene, right? There's a one little silly moment. If we would, I just want to, baby, you want to talk about that?
Oh, let me just run directly at this janitor cart, even though you are clearly telegraphing you're about to push it at me.
I just think,
wouldn't it be fun if I toppled over this janitor cart before I kill you?
Yeah, I just think maybe Angel's reflexes might get him over the janitor cart. Just maybe. Just gonna put that up. But whatever. The scene is a beautiful scene, and it ends at this gorgeous like window. They're framed in the window. And Angel
somehow he has magically gotten ahead of her.
I mean, he's a that's why the cart scene is a little silly.
Right.
Is because he's quick, he's powerful, he's incredibly strong. He's one of the strongest vampires that exist. And he's up by this window, and he set this up in the beginning. You know what? Something I want to talk about too is how do you throw a computer on the ground and make it start on fire? Is it something in 1990s computers that could make it start on fire? It's like a spark it just seems very complicated.
What I'd say is like, while I don't have the logical explanation for how a huge desktop computer just magically catches on fire when you dump it on the ground. What I will say is I didn't blink. I was like, of course that's what happens.
Right. And so I bring it up because it does set Angel up for this very nice shot where he's like warming his hands over the fire.
Right. After
he's burned the translation that Jenny needs.
Smash the orb.
The orb smash is incredible.
Trash the computer. It's a whole thing.
He says he's killed 2 birds with 1 stone, and then he looks up in vamp face and says, and teacher makes 3.
Blah.
And that's what I wanted to kind of bring into this scene by the window, because he's so cavalier, like he's just so calm, so whatever. He gets there, and you just don't expect this. You expect Buffy, of course. Buffy is going to jump through something and get him and kill him and something. And she doesn't. Nobody's there. And he just snaps her neck.
He doesn't even
bite her. He doesn't even bite her. He just snaps her neck and drops her to the ground. And then we cut to what would have been a commercial. And I just can't imagine. I mean, I've said it. We had to watch this episode twice, and I hope you all are impressed with us or feel bad for us or something, because it was just very hard to watch. And I just couldn't imagine having been a part of this show when it was airing live. I just feel like everyone must have ran immediately to their computers and gone on like message boards and just sought out some sort of community. Like, can you believe that this has happened? But it has.
The next thing that we see is Giles swinging by the Summers household to pick up his book so that he can go home and cast a de-invitation spell. Okay, first of all, everybody, do you think we could have gotten this done while it was still daylight? Things would be different. Also, you need to hand the book off. Giles works in the library where I assume there must be a Xerox machine, and if there's not, there's one in the teacher's lounge. Bro,
right,
get on your game.
Right. But
what are we doing?
But you know why we need Giles to come pick up the book?
I do.
So that we can have, and thank God, I think that writers know they have just delivered a pretty crushing blow.
Yeah.
They're about to deliver a way worse one. Screw you, writers. But before they do, they give us this moment of relief with Giles and Willow having this delightful exchange where Joyce has found out about Buffy and Angel. And I want to listen to this together because it's just too delightful.
Oh, yeah, it went fine. Well, it went fine until Angel showed up and told Buffy's mom that he and Buffy had, well, that they had, you do know, right?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Oh, good, because I just realized that being a librarian and all, you maybe didn't know.
Oh, thank you, I got it.
It's just really, really
being
fun.
A librarian and all.
Yeah.
So great.
So we've already discussed Joyce and Buffy talking about sex and Angel and all of that. And the scene that comes after this scene, my only notes for it are that I've written the word no about, 20 times in my notebook. This is, this scene has to be one of the most devastating scenes in the series.
It's so twisted.
It's so upsetting. Early on in the podcast, I had tweeted something and I used the gif of Giles smelling the rose. I hadn't put it together. I've only seen the series once up until this point. And I just didn't think about it. And 40 people replied. They were like, how dare you use this gif? And now I understand. I remember. So there's the rose on the doorway. He walks in. Obviously, everything is set up.
Champagne on ice, candles, Puccini.
Yes. Yeah, a note trifolded that just says upstairs. Candles leading up the walk, candles leading up the stairs. And he takes the bottle of wine and a glass up, and he's just so excited, and in this way that's so sweet and so full of love. And and we all know what's going to happen.
Ugh.
And he crests the staircase. And this series deals with grief, I think, in the most brilliant ways, in the most truthful, horrific, accurate ways. We see Giles's face, expectant, excited to see Jenny, to find Jenny, and then meet this shift. Anthony Stewart Head, this is brilliant acting on his part as well. This shift from that excitement to this horrific realization. And then the edit goes from that moment of realization right to just emptiness and shock. And we see the police lights outside. It just captures these stages of grief in, again, what is maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah. And then the police officer informs Giles he's going to need to come down to the station. Giles says, I need to make a phone call first. He calls Buffy to tell Buffy what's going on. And Angel makes a brief appearance to narrate during the police scene, I will say. I just shout out to Angel. Angel had a lot to do in this episode. Busy guy.
He had to draw charcoal. He had to skewer fish. He had to, stock up on stationery. And he had to do a whole VO, the whole thing, the whole situation. But yeah, he makes this phone call, Giles does. And this is, you just keep thinking okay, well, this is as sick and twisted as it could get.
Right.
And then it just keeps getting more sick and twisted because Angel is now, after setting up this elaborate thing, he has scurried over to Buffy's house because he knows that Giles will call them to tell them, and he knows that they will be devastated, and he wants to watch. He wants to watch this happen, and he does. And the scenes through the dining room window, I think, are some of the more powerful moments that we get in the series. And we've had a couple already, and this is another. Through the curtains, we see the phone call silently happen.
Right, and we see two very different manifestations of grief and shock.
Yes,
in Buffy and Willow.
Buffy slides down the wall and just sort of puts her head down, and Willow, dear God.
So good at crying.
Oh, this cry. It's how can a person make me feel so many feelings? Willow, just in a half a second kind of a little squeak. I just lose it with her. And then...
Wait. What did Giles' phone call interrupt them doing? They are walking side by side in what appears to be just like laps around the bottom floor of the Summers house. Just two ladies walking through the house side by side.
Maybe they're casting. Maybe they're still casting. Maybe they're doing extra spells.
Okay.
That would be a thing that would make two ladies walk around the house together.
Totally.
But something that I wanted to talk about too in this like arc of grief, as I'll call it, because I think that, I mean, you've lost people in your life, Jenny. I've lost people in my life. And I think that there are very particular things that happen when you lose someone, when someone is lost, whether that person is close to you or not, if they're in your orbit. There is the grief that you have, but then there is the coming together of the people closest to you. And the people that come together aren't even necessarily always the people that you see the most. It's just like all of a sudden the people that matter the most are there, and there's no words spoken, and you're just doing what has to get done. And so the scene that happens right after this phone call shatters my heart, because it's Cordelia and Xander in the car picking up Willow and Buffy to go over to Giles' house. I like have the chills even talking about it, because I've been there too, you know, of just like, you become a different person. Anything that has mattered to you up until that point, it disappears because you realize suddenly, I mean, we're human, so we like walk through the earth thinking that things are important, and they're not. And it takes these moments to realize, oh, right, that isn't even the world. That isn't even the reality. This is the reality. This is what's important. And that's where they find themselves in this moment. They're in the car and they go to Giles' house together. And my heart.
Yeah, but Giles is not there because he has already loaded up on weapons and exited quickly past one more charcoal drawing, this one of Jenny Calendar, indicating that not only is Angel a convincing and talented artist, he's also pretty fast.
Yeah, he works quickly. Giles, right, has packed up all of his weapons. Xander and Cordelia have this, I think, a very fun little moment with the weapons where we learn that Giles only keeps his, like, regular weapons at school, but he keeps his for company show-off weapons at his own home.
Right.
But he's taken them all. And I think Xander has a really interesting little moment here, because Xander does something that I think that annoyed me on first watch, where he's like, he gives this, like, I've been telling you people to kill him. And it's like, Xander, not now. But I watched the scene a little bit more closely this time, and they really put a focus on Xander really aching for Giles right when he walks in, and that arc really takes him to this place of where he's like fucking mad. He's just so mad, and it's another manifestation of grief, right? We don't say the right things all the time. We get angry. We say exactly what we're feeling, and that's what Xander is doing. Like, I fucking told you to kill this thing. He's not thinking about Buffy's feelings. He's not, and what's remarkable is that Buffy's not thinking about Buffy's feelings either, because as soon as Xander says that, she says, "You're right."
Yeah. It's so intense. I can't talk because I have too many body chills.
Well, this is a nice moment to transition to, as we have a lot of body chills and feelings, because we take all of our body chills and emotional feelings over to the lair, or whatever we're calling it, Spike's house.
The factory.
And Spike and Drew and Angel are batting
just
each other around
lovers
like they do. And, you know, Spike is like, you could have killed her. You're really pissing me off. And Angel is like, meh, meh, meh. And then...
Well, I'm sorry, what is Angel like?
Meh, meh, meh. And then Angel is interrupted by a firebomb thrown by Giles.
Hell yeah.
Hell yes. The only thing sexier than Librarian Giles is firebombing Giles.
Yeah.
He drops a firebomb down on them. Angel is immediately like, whoa, shit. And Drew and Spike are like, you better deal with this shit that you did. They help Angel not at all.
Yeah. Especially Spike, like, Drew almost gets involved and Spike grabs her and is like, you don't get involved unless he tags you in.
Right, unless he tags you in. Giles, meanwhile, is picking up a giant stick of fire that he's beating Angel over the head with.
Yes, relentlessly.
This is great. Another stage of grief, right? I mean, really being played out here for us. And Giles is having a pretty good time. He's doing a good job.
But then things turn.
Yes.
And Angel gets him by the throat and he's like, you've had your fun.
Right.
Now it's time for Buffy's fun!
And then finally we get the moment that we thought was going to happen for Jenny, but now happens, thank God, for Giles.
Buffy kicks Angel in the face so many times.
This is a great fight scene. Giles falls, knockout for Giles, if you're keeping track. Giles is down, and Buffy and Angel have this incredible fight scene.
Oh my God. When they get up on that catwalk and she wraps a rope around him and like rings him like a bell.
like,
hell yeah,
bangs him to every side of the walkway. And then something very interesting happens, which I think, fits this theme of Angel being twisted and having a larger plan, because she's kicking the shit out of him. Angel is laughing hysterically through the whole thing, totally nonplussed. And then he says, "You're going to let your old man burn?" And Buffy has this moment of, oh shit. Giles looks down. Giles is surrounded by flames, and Angel picks her up over the catwalk to drop her down to go get Giles. It's not a fight move at all. At first watch, I thought he's he's fighting, but he's not. He walks away. He's not in danger at all. He's not hurt at all. He's laughing hysterically.
Oh,
I mean, the fire is there, but it just seems like what's happening here is he's like, I still have more to do with you. I still want to play with you more. Go rescue your old man. Because I'm in power, right? That's what this moment is, and it's terrifying.
Oh, it's so twisted. Then Buffy gets Giles outside. And he is so mad.
This moment between Giles and Buffy is another heart-wrenching moment and another really, for me, very accurate, a very moving moment. I had the experience of almost losing my mom. My mom, when I was 21, 22, she got really, really sick. And without going into too much detail, was in ICU. We all said our goodbyes to her. And she somehow turned around and pulled out of it. And that's a very quick summary of a story that I'll probably pull out even larger in future episodes. But for now, what I want to talk about is the fact that at the time, I was 21, 22, and I was dating someone very seriously for the first time in my life. And as I talked about with the Scoobies earlier, she was there with me. The people that are closest to you, they just come, you drop everything. And she was there for me when I was saying goodbye to my mom. And I remember, because I was dating her, we were very emotionally close. And we got in this horrible fight at my house, just this horrible fight. And we were screaming and screaming and screaming. And I don't even know how it happened, but somehow we wound up on the ground, rolling around. And it went from this moment of screaming and rolling around to hysterical sobbing. And it's a moment I'll never forget. And it's a moment that is paralleled here. The exact response happens between the two of them, right? Buffy, Buffy's a slayer, so she knocks Giles out. I didn't knock my girlfriend out. I didn't hit my girlfriend. Nobody panic. But, they're fighting. She hits Giles, and that hit that takes him down opens him up, right? It's the anger that he had and the anger that she had. You almost died. I need you. You can't leave me. And suddenly they're there and they're grieving in the alleyway. And it's just beautiful and heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. And then we go to the cemetery for a rare daylight scene in which Giles is laying flowers on Jenny's grave. Question.
Yeah, call out.
Her name is Yana Calderash. Why does her tombstone say Jenny Calendar?
Right. This is an interesting choice because I think it would have also been, first of all, it would have been accurate, but it also, I think, would have been more emotionally powerful for the headstone to have said her real name, right? There's just so much more in that than us seeing Jenny Calendar. But
yeah, it's probably just a show shortcut. We need to make sure that who this is.
Right. But I don't know. I guess at this point, they didn't understand the true depth of their audience and how much they would understand.
Right.
But Angel the narrator is back.
Right. But you know what else is here sonically? A beautiful piece composed by Christoph Beck. Called Remembering Jenny. You can hear Anthony Stewart Head singing the right? Mm-hmm. So listen for that. And also, it's important for us to note that song was sampled by Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
For the song A Fire Love.
Ed Sheeran, a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. We just found this out because of this episode. So we're
ready for you.
We're ready for you whenever, Ed. You want to come co-write a song with us?
Yeah.
Anytime, man.
Come on down.
Anytime. So Angel the narrator is back and delivers, I think, a really important line for us. If we could live without passion, maybe we would find peace, but we'd be hollow.
Woof.
Woof, indeed. Something that I think is part of the human condition, right?
Yeah.
That we struggle. We want not to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But without the passion that causes those struggles, we would also lose all of the beauty.
Yeah.
And we would be empty. So we have to mourn, right?
Yeah.
We have to lose things that we love. And this, as we said in the beginning, this applies to everyone on the show, including Angel, even though he is soulless.
Right.
There is passion driving him.
And Buffy,
yes,
for her part, is telling Giles, I wasn't ready, but I'm ready now because I know that nothing is going to bring him back. And as she says that,
yes,
we see a floppy disk. For those of you who don't know what a floppy disk is.
One of many moments in the 90s where a pivotal plot point hinged on a floppy disk.
Yes. We see the floppy disk that Jenny had saved all of her translation work on.
Right.
In terms of getting Angel's soul back. Fall off of the desk and down into a crack between the desk and like a filing cabinet or something. And seriously, if you missed floppy disks because of when you were born, that's how we used to store information.
Think of it like a hard drive.
Yeah, like a teeny tiny hard drive.
Flat little hard drive that can hold about 1/87.
One Word document.
One Word document at a time. And it's important too, I think, before we wrap up here, to just talk about the fact that what is on that floppy disk is the translation of this text that is used for the Orb of Thesla. And that is like an open thing, that what we've learned about the Orb of Thesla is that it will pull someone's soul from the ether, and it will contain it until it is ready to be transferred. Because when we watched the scene the second time, I was like, why isn't Jenny just reading the text? And then I sort of like listened a little bit more closely, and it was like, oh, there's actually a lot to this ritual here. Yeah, there's a lot that has to happen. And with all of that said, Jenny, we haven't awarded a sexual tension award to anybody. So I wonder.
I already made my nomination.
You stand firm on your nomination. I'm thinking through it. There's some throuple moments, but we've already awarded it to the throuple. There's Sunshine the puppy. That's weird. So I think we can give it to you. The Sexual Tension Award for the first time ever, going to Jenny Owen Young's and Xander Harris's orange and green sweater.
And plaid pants.
Oh, and the whole ensemble. Just take Xander out of it.
Yes.
Please take Xander out of it for you.
Wow, this is so unexpected. I would like to thank the Academy and all of our listeners.
I guess we'll finally know if the awards really come in the mail now.
Hooray!
Well, I think that about does it for this very sad, horribly sad, endlessly sad episode. And I think we did a good job bringing some levity to the situation, don't you?
Yes, I do. So, I am still, remarkably, Jenny Owen Youngs.
Award-winning.
Yes, award-winning Jenny Owen Youngs. And when I'm not watching Buffy, I'm usually writing songs and recording them. You can learn more about me at jennyowenyoungs.com/buffering. And you can give me a shout on Twitter at Jenny Owen Youngs.
Yes, you can give me a shout on Twitter at Kristine Noeline, KRISTINNOELINE. You can also learn more about the work that I do with LGBTQ young people and their families over at my website, KristineNoeline.com. Or you can find those resources directly at everyoneisgay.com or mykidisgay.com.
Every time I listen to you spell your name, I think, and on this farm they had a Kristen.
Noeline.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. It doesn't fit either. You know what my middle name inspires is just a reimagined version of
Noeline.
You got it.
Noeline.
Okay.
Great. So, Buffering the Vampire Slayer is on Twitter and Facebook at BufferingCast, and you can always drop us an email at bufferingthevampireslayer@gmail.com.
Yes, and there are many ways to support us. We are on Stitcher Premium these days, which is very exciting. You can get an ad-free experience of our podcast and also experience all the joys that Stitcher Premium brings. A lot of exclusives, comedy specials, and soon, in the near future, we'll have exclusives over on Stitcher Premium as well. And the best part of this whole thing is that you can go to stitcherpremium.com/Buffy and use the code Buffy to get your first month free. So check that out. And if you're needing other ways, don't worry, there's more. You can go on over to our store, bufferingthevampireslayer.com, and click on shop, and you can find t-shirts and tank tops and enamel pins. They're very fun. And also, of course, there is always Patreon. You can find our Patreon page again by going to our website, bufferingthevampireslayer.com, and clicking on Patreon. We have such an incredible family growing over there. We now have a secret Facebook group for all of our patrons. Our $5 patrons get the songs every week as they come out. Our $10 patrons now get work tapes of those songs. So the files that we create as we're working on the song, sometimes they have different lyrics. Sometimes they have pieces that wind up in other songs. It's a whole fun journey over there, and you can find all about it over at Patreon. Thank you for all of you who already support us. It is the reason why we are continuing to grow this show.
Praise. Thanks so much for listening. Till next time.
for me to go back to sleep. What I wish I could do, dream a world where you're still you. I can feel the ground underneath me crack, silent as the light sky fades to black. Now I know that you're never coming back to me. What I love, what I need, gone so far away from me. Look too close and I blur, can't feel the hole where you were. And I can feel the ground underneath me crack, silent as the light sky fades to black. Now I know that you're never coming back to me. To me.
Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you know what lies within nothing?
No.
Do you know where it ends? Do you want to know?
Yes.
Counterbalance, a high fantasy audio drama. Season 2, coming 15th of October 2023. Learn more on trilunas.com.